Hi, everybody. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. This is my take on the November 2025 astrology. I'll start off with an introduction regarding what transits are happening and the moons. Then I'll go into your individual ascendants and or sun signs. So really, November 2025 astrology is really dominated all month by the Mercury retrograde. So the Mercury retrograde will be basically almost all the month of November. And I did do a video on this already, and I went into your sun signs and ascendants as well for both the beginning of the retrograde and then the direct motion and what it might mean to you. Put the link below. So I'm not going to cover in depth the Mercury retrograde, but you can go to this video and get a lot more information that I'm going to give you in this. This is just really covering more like the moons and other aspects, right? Okay, so the other thing that we have is if we look at the moons, we're looking at the full moon in Taurus, the new moon in Scorpio. So let's start off with that full moon in Taurus. So both Taurus and Scorpio, generally speaking, are viewed as sort of money signs, and that the houses they fall in the natural zodiac, sort of emphasize this, right? So when we look at the Taurus part, which we're starting off with here, that falls in the natural zodiac's second house, right? And the second house, we tend to look at the money that we earn, but just as important is our values. What do we think of our value, and what do other people think of our value? And how is that reflected in our modern day society? Appreciating that value, money, right? The money that we're paid. So this may be a little bit of a focus. The background theme is money that you make. Now, the full moon itself happens on the 5th of November at 5:19 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it will be at 13 degrees of Taurus, 22 minutes. This full moon is ruled by Venus, so we look to where Venus is. And interestingly, Venus is at around 28 degrees of Libra. Recall last month in my video, when I spoke about that new moon in Libra, what degree was it at? It was at 28 degrees. And of course, Venus also rules Libra too. So this is an important pointer that the universe is trying to give you. Especially if you've had something around that 28 degree mark of that new moon last October of Libra. This certainly is asking us to go back and review to some extent what was that new thing that we wanted to start or that we started. Because Venus is coming in here. For some people, Venus is going to give you money, right? Venus represents money. For others, it might be love of some sort comes in here. For still others, your value may go up, right? Whatever new thing you started at that new moon in October in Libra, you may now see tangible money in your hands as a result of it, or a tangible, maybe less money-like, but somebody actually recognizes you and your value, and it is stated to people around you. Or you may say, I deserve more than this, right? Maybe that new start last October was you saying, you know, I need to get a new job here, or I need to start something new in some aspect of your life. And you take steps towards it. Well, this full moon may see the culmination of that with the influence of its ruler Venus and the Venus conjunct that point of 28 degrees Libra that the new moon was at. So bear that in mind as you're thinking about this full moon. Now, in terms of aspects for the full moon itself in Taurus, we have Mars that's going to be at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, and it will be opposing that Uranus, the very first degree of Gemini, and it'll be trining Neptune. Mars will also be sextiling a now direct Pluto. So these are all, I see these outer planets as they're being sextiled, opposed, and trined as setting off the scaffolding behind the scenes regarding what's going on in our life. So I would say, especially around this full moon, do pay attention to that with the setup of those planets that I just spoke about with that Mars influence. Mars likes to put energy into something. So this is like putting energy into the scaffolding going on behind the scenes, much of which will last for many years of our life. Now, certainly Mars at 0 degrees of Sagittarius also speaks to new beginnings, right? 0 degrees is a critical degree. New starts, even though this is a full moon. Now, there may be some surprises coming in here as well with that Mars opposite Uranus. I see this playing out on the world stage. Unexpected movements forward. Now, Sagittarius can rule things like the law, maybe unexpectedly. A law is enacted and we have to pay attention. It can also represent foreign people and foreign things. And I think on the world stage, my feeling was that that's what this represents. There's going to be something unexpectedly happen that is related to foreign people, foreign lands. Now, travel can also be unexpected travel. Delays can happen here. And certainly with that Mars in 0 degrees, it's a new thing. But also we've got the Mercury retrograde happening, causing all sorts of snafus and problems with travel, missed flights, misunderstood itineraries, all that sort of thing can come up with a Mercury retrograde on top of this, right? So plan your travel accordingly is what I would do if I were traveling in, I'll be just traveling locally in November and December. And Mars is still going to be carrying on in Sagittarius all the way through at least that first week or first 2 weeks of December. So certainly for those traveling, say, for Thanksgiving in November, just double check all your plans. Check the car. If you're going to be traveling by car, this would be a good time to get a checkup on that car before you get into it to travel, right? Are those tires in good shape? Even something as simple as making sure you've got, your tank filled up with gas or your batteries, charged up. All right, enough said about that. Now, when we look at that Venus that I spoke about at 28 degrees of Libra, that's going to be squaring Jupiter. It's, as I've said many times, very, very hard to actually get a bad aspect with Jupiter. So I see this as positive. I see this as potentially being love blossoming for some people here, maybe with foreign people. It can also bring in some money that you were waiting for, maybe money you were waiting through a legal case. That arrives on your doorstep. Don't forget, we got Venus in Libra, and of course that Jupiter is in Cancer. For others, I thought this could be growth of some sort, right? So generally speaking, we talk about Jupiter representing growth, just as a basic type of theme or activity for this planet. And then with the Venus part, that's why I'm saying for some, love may blossom. For others, females may grow. How do you grow? Certainly you can gain weight through eating too much. That could happen too. Maybe too many sweets at Thanksgiving or around that Thanksgiving time period. But also this can indicate pregnancy too, right? So we're looking at the degrees here for certainly Venus. We are looking at 28 degrees. And for Jupiter, we're looking at 25 degrees in Cancer, right? When we look at the decan, I'm going to try to include decans in this too. Now, I'm just looking at the modern decans. You can go back to medieval interpretations and all that, and those are interesting too. I'm just going to keep it simple and go into the decan for the modern take on decans in astrology. And certainly for this full moon in Taurus, which is at 13 degrees, we know it's past that first decan. The first decan is from 0 degrees to 10 degrees. Well, we know this is 13 plus degrees and minutes. So we know this falls in the second decan. So we say, well, what rules that second decan? The second decan is ruled by Virgo. And therefore, this is ruled by the planet of Mercury. Whoa. So this emphasizes once again the Mercury retrograde. Important to pay attention to details. Try not to sign contracts. If you do need to sign contracts, this is the time when I would hire someone who is an expert to look through the papers I'm going to sign. But sometimes we can't, help it. And for those that are getting a bit worried about, well, I do have to sign a contract because I'm starting a new job or I'm buying a house or whatever, I always say, and I follow this principle myself, if you've started these negotiations way before the Mercury retrograde started, then you're probably not going to be affected by this if you absolutely have to sign something, right? So that's a caveat that I'm going to put in there for you. Don't want you to worry. And, like many other senior astrologers have said, we can't dictate our life around Mercury retrogrades. There's 3, sometimes 4 Mercury retrogrades in a year. It does put an emphasis on paying attention to any details to do with communications. So Pluto is going direct. It's now at 1 degree 41 minutes at this new moon in Scorpio. So this new moon in Scorpio is at 28 degrees of Scorpio, 11 minutes on the 19th of November at 10:46 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The big standout for this moon, which of course has the sun at the same degree of 28 degrees, is that we have Mercury still retrograde, also at 28 degrees, conjunct both the moon and the sun, emphasizing communications, emphasizing potential writing projects, and, anything to do with your thoughts even could come in here as well. And especially in Scorpio, it literally could be our thoughts. What our thinking may not be on track here. So the newness that you want to start here may not be able to really be activated until that Mercury goes direct, right? So what else do we have happening? We have Venus in Scorpio is trining the north nodes in Pisces. And so this is really positive too. This brings in a sense of maybe attracting in some favorable things for our destiny path, just generally speaking here, right? Venus likes to be the big attractor, kind of like Jupiter in a way, but Venus likes to bring in nice things for you too. Venus likes to take that sharp edge off things. And as a trine, it's just beaming positive energy. So certainly if you have something around, let me just see where the north nodes are. So the north nodes are at 15 degrees plus of Pisces. And then Venus is at 16 degrees plus of Scorpio, almost 17 degrees of Scorpio. And so, yeah, I mean, this could be of great benefit to those that have something around that. I'm thinking, let's go back to kind of the areas of life, investments, that type of thing, mortgages. For those that say have something around that, say, 18 degree point of Scorpio and or Pisces, and you're getting this trine happening, this could be something positive that plays out in terms of investments for you and your long-term destiny, right? We have Mercury still retrograde, but it's going to be trining Neptune and widely trining Saturn. And so I really saw this as, I almost had this vision of a harp being plucked. So to me, this is saying there is some communication of some sort that may come in a harmonious way here that either reminds us of something or inspires us in some way. Don't forget that Neptune can be inspiration, right? So for those that I would say are in the music industry, even in the film industry, anything kind of creative that way, this could be a time, even though it's a Mercury retrograde, of some real inspiration coming through that brain of yours, and you write it down. Let's just say it's writing music. Super important here. And with that trine, even though it's wide to Saturn, it brings a sense of longevity and makes that inspiration real. Now, we have an interesting dynamic setting up just before Mercury goes direct on the 29th of November. We have Saturn going direct on the 28th of November at 25 degrees of Pisces, right? And that's just before we have Mercury going direct the next day. Now, importantly, that Saturn going direct at 25 degrees of Pisces trines what? It trines Jupiter. And so this could be a really important day for certainly some kind of green light where there's been delays. Now you're getting this idea of, whoa, I can finally move forward here. And you get some positive news, right? That comes out maybe the next day. Could come out the same day. I mean, the Mercury does go direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, 42 minutes on the 29th of November at 9:29 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So Saturn going direct works with this, right? So for those that are listening to this, so I'm making this early actually because I've got so much going on in October. I'm making this kind of end of the first week of October or so. And for those that end up listening to this prior to November actually happening, if you are running into frustration, say towards the end of October, into the early part of November, there's some big, big things going to happening towards the end of November with regards to delays being lifted of any sort, especially with regards to signing contracts, maybe buying a computer even, maybe even buying a car. All those things could be held up at the beginning of November, but they all start coming forward again. I would say around that 28th, 29th of November. Now, Mercury still has to get out of its shadow, and it does that in December. But I think because we got this link with Saturn going direct, even though I know it takes its time to really move forward, the outer planets, Saturn in particular, to me, this just gave me this huge signal of delays are lifted and we can move forward, especially since it trines Jupiter. Jupiter, what is it? Growth, benefits. And in fact, there could be some real benefits if we look in the global stage with regards to foreign people, foreign things, legal matters. This could be a big breakthrough case with regards to a legal matter of some sort in a very positive way. As I said, we're looking at Saturn going direct at 25 Pisces and Jupiter is at 25 Cancer. Both water signs, therefore a trine. Now, if we go to the decan for Saturn here, we talked about Saturn being at 25 degrees. Well, the third decan of Pisces starts at 20 degrees. This is at 25. So we know that this is the third and final decan of Pisces. And what is that ruled by? Well, it is ruled by Scorpio, and Pluto is the planet that rules it. So wow, this also emphasizes what? Powerful people, powerful transformation, and powerful transformation of this delay now being released. And I think it has something to do with people in power. I think something's going to come to light here regarding people in positions of power. Because we have that Mercury retrograde the next day, right? In Scorpio going direct. Scorpio is a very secretive sign, generally speaking. It's a very deep sign. It takes great consideration. It's the natural detective, right? Now, let's go into a little bit of the Mercury going direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, 42 minutes on the 29th of November. We're going to have the moon at that time conjunct Saturn. But remember, Saturn is now going direct. This favors, in my mind, if we take it to the world stage, the moon will actually represent the people. And so it could be that the people get some change happening here where they can see that there's movement forward for some longevity regarding, say, rules and regulations. We're going to have Venus trine Neptune. Holy smokes, that's fantastic. Venus trine Neptune. Well, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So these are very positive, synergistic planets working together here as a trine. Again, going back to those people that are in the music industry or that just love to write music or play music, this could be a seminal time for you. For some folks, and in also the film industry, you could get some go ahead here with regards to maybe a new project in music and or something to do with the arts, maybe film, or maybe you will announce something that you've produced at this time. Certainly would be a great time to do that. So we're really looking at the last couple of days of November here of presenting your creation. We will have Jupiter square Chiron. Uranus will sextile Neptune and trine Pluto. Again, this is like, the orchestra working in the background here to produce some beautiful music for you, to bring some inspiration for you, even bring things in that you didn't even expect, right? With the Uranus part of it. Maybe even enlighten some of us as well. As I mentioned, check out my video link below to get more details about the Mercury going retrograde and direct. So when we look at December 2025 astrology, and we just take a little peek at it, we're going to have a full moon in Gemini, a new moon in Sagittarius, with, of course, Mercury will be direct as well in Sagittarius. In fact, the first 2 weeks of December, Mercury stays in Sagittarius, bringing lots of, lovely communications your way. And of course, it being out of shadow. The other thing that's going to happen in December is that Neptune will go direct. And of course, this will be the veils being lifted in December. So Cancer, that full moon in Taurus sextiles your sign and involves your 11th house of friends, groups, hopes, dreams, and wishes, money you make through your own business. So straight off, some Cancers are going to be making more money. Are you going to have the opportunity to make more money? Make sure you're listening to your friends, because that's 11th house too. Make sure you're associating with groups that you are associated with too, that you're actually listening to what they say. They may have some ways of you making some more money here, right? Even though it's a full moon, it may represent for some Cancers the ending of just getting, bits and pieces of money. And now you get opportunities to do more than that, to get more things coming in for you here as well. Now, especially when we've got that Saturn going direct at 25 degrees of Pisces, trining Jupiter in your sign. Whoa. I would say look towards the latter days of November with that happening and also Mercury going direct. You may get some fabulous news towards the end of November in tangible terms that turns up at this full moon as a beginning, as a first message of some sort. That latter days could really bring in some big stuff for you, my friend. Yeah, if you're looking to increase money for yourself, Cancer, certainly pay attention to what ends, and it may be you ending something at that full moon. And it could be that you end some association with a group that you decide doesn't really suit you anymore. And by doing that, you release yourself for maybe being attracted to another group that is favorable for you. But I think friends are going to bring something in for you and illuminate something for you. So it doesn't mean that you have to end friendships, although some may. It just may be that friends help you end something favorable here and give you opportunities to do something else. That's kind of the mix. I know it's kind of, a 180 view on either side. Are they helping me? Are they not helping me? Your friends are there to help you with that full moon, but they may just illuminate something for you that you just hadn't seen before. I guess that's what I'm really saying, Cancer. And if you're really lucky, Cancer, and you had Jupiter in your sign, so this could happen to many Cancers. You do have a hope, dream, or wish come true. And the ending is that after having worked so hard at making a dream come true, boom, it comes true. Now that new moon also favors you, Cancer. It trines you, so that's just favorable energy, just beaming away in new beginnings. And it's the 5th house. Well, there's going to be some Cancers, maybe as a result of friends pointing something out to them. that they're going to take on a big, huge creative project that makes them money. It is in Scorpio. It may be something where you have to work behind the scenes. The Scorpio kind of likes to work kind of in secret. So there may be some Cancers that actually are given a project, maybe through their work, where they can't really talk to people about it too much. But it's fabulous. You love it, and it's totally creative for you. For others, that fifth house can represent new love. There's going to be some Cancers that actually get an opportunity here to move forward in a love relationship. And that love relationship may be manifest more clearly when Saturn trines that Jupiter right in Cancer around the 28th. So look to the 28th Cancer of November as real tangible signs in maybe a love relationship of some sort. That is something really tangible and concrete for you, that it becomes solid, that it becomes real. I mean, the other thing is children are ruled by the fifth house. There's going to be some Cancers that get pregnant at that new moon. And you make an announcement maybe just after the Mercury goes direct and say, yep, I got the test back and it's confirmed. I'm pregnant. How awesome is that? Overall, I think that new moon is going to give you opportunities to really benefit from a huge creative project that gets a green light after a long delay. Take care, Cancer. All right, everybody, I'm wrapping up my November. Then we're going to have the last month of the year, December, coming up. I'm sending everyone, lots of positive energy, right? There's a Mercury retrograde that's happening all of November. Certainly some of us are going to feel some frustrations with regards to communications, miscommunications, not getting the news they want. Just remember, all that is about to change towards the end of November, right the way through the first 2 weeks of December. As Mars continues to stay in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is very, very positive, outgoing energy. It also represents happiness too. So know that things will clear up as Mercury goes direct towards the end of November. Try not to be too frustrated. Just keep checking the information with other people as well as facts and data. Lots of love to everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving for those folks that do celebrate Thanksgiving. And we'll talk to you next month in December. If you want your chart done, of course, love to do it. All my details are below. Just send me an email and you can see my services through the links. I put it towards the end of the text box. Take care and bye for now.